By some, he's been called controversial.
I'll keep my freedom. I'll keep my guns. Try to keep my money and my religion too.
Now, keep in mind that some of my guests have been approached by, Homeland Security or FBI saying, why are you going on the Clay Douglas show?
My message to those guys, if they're listening this morning, is go get a cup of coffee. Maybe you'll learn something.
We both took the same oath, to defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. I don't recall there being an expiration date on that.
I'm going to keep my big BA, keep my friends the same, keep the government out of my business, and y'all can keep the change.
He is the free American, Clay Douglas.
We know what we need. We know who to blame.
Catch the Free American Hour, weekdays at 7 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Eastern.
I'll keep the USA and y'all can keep the change.
For the podcast and more details, visit www.freeamerican.com or catch the podcast by phone by calling 832-999-8621.
Sounds first in the hearts of freedom's vanguard, who come from their simple homes to find the fire and fight. That symbolizes the full measure of human dignity and liberty.
Revolution Radio listeners, the sun is rising across this great United States, and that means straight from the heart of Texas. It is time for Clayton Douglas, the Free American. Take it away, Clayton.
All right, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of the Free American. And got a lot of the ground I want to cover today, so I probably won't be in the chat room much. David Kaas is my guest today. He's the author of Farm Physics, which is linked up with some YouTube sites. And he'll tell you about spinning your water or your coffee, as it happens to be in this case. Doing that right now. Now, that's simply reversing the molecular structure. I'll let him tell you about it. All I know is it makes the coffee taste better. Sure screws up my Coca-Colas, but there's a lot of things that I want to discuss today. David does want to run for president, and frankly, I support his ambition here. Now, there's practical matters, and I'll talk about them too, because I have been in a presidential race. I have rubbed elbows with Bob Dole, Pat Buchanan, even John Songbird McCain, and I don't care if all the factories move to Mexico. My son's an engineer. Yeah, right. And your wife's a mob queen too. So yeah, we can a lot of different ways to go, and I'll share with you a platform that David will probably adopt if he follows my recommendations. And I also I want to mention the protocols of the elders of Zion, and all of you brainwashed Christian Israelites, you Judeo-Christians, which is basically the same thing as saying I'm a satanic Christian. Thank you. You know, let me tell you what some of your wealthiest, smartest people in the world had to say about the protocols. Where's the proof that the protocols are authentic? The proof is the document itself. What's going on in the world today is the fulfillment of the protocols in precise detail. Henry Ford said, the only statement I care to make about the protocols, which he, by the way, put in every Ford that he sold, is that they fit in with what is going on. And that was written in the New York World, February 17, 1921. Benjamin Disraeli said, the world is governed by very different personages from what is imagined by those who are not behind the scene. And Nobel Prize winner Alexander Solzhenitsyn compared the protocols to a nuclear bomb. And I'll have a guest on this week, J. Michael Thomas Hayes, that has a website called SamaritanSentinel.com, and he'll be talking about that. Now, David has also talked about the aliens. He has said he's been in communication, said he's met some of them, and in the disclosure, the scientists have got together to urge the government to come clean on the UFOs and the contact with aliens. It's way above men in black, way above that. And to talk about it personally, my father-in-law, Colonel Lloyd Conrad, was the Marine officer, and I've been to his home. He married my mother-in-law, my ex's mother, and he was the Marine officer that escorted the surviving alien from there to Truman's office. Now, I've also read the accounts of the woman that they used as a translator. Lloyd told me they communicated telepathically, and Lloyd, as a Marine officer, he simply didn't lie. And I've also got to interview and talk with a gentleman that talked about a battle at Dulce, New Mexico. Phil Snyder. Phil Snyder said that he was with a group of Special Forces, SEALs, whatever, and they fought a battle at Dulce, underground at Dulce. So again, to me, God works on the internet, and I got this information. Now, I know a lot of you people try to put David down because he wants to run for president. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with aspiring to run for public office? Oh, well, he talks to aliens. Loy said the alien commented and talked to him telepathically. And that's what David says, and that's what the people in Sirius, a movie that's put out by the Disclosure Project, had to add. And now I've told you, and Sirius, the people that made Sirius, and the people that appeared, the scientists that appeared in Sirius, have basically told you the same thing that I've told you, that the reason they have such top secret, why they don't want you to know about the aliens, the existence of aliens, the validity of flying saucers, is they don't want you knowing that we could have lunch on the moon and be back here in time for supper. Now, there's a conference coming up, June 7th, 8th, and 9th, called Stargate to the Cosmos. It'll be held in Henderson, Nevada, at the Henderson Casino. And Joanne Richards will be there and presenting information on this. But I want to, they say, now remember Lloyd told you that he escorted told me, yes, my guest is David Kaas. I'll get to him in a moment. He's standing by. In 1947, this is edited by Captain Mark Richards. It was published by the Earth Defense Headquarters. That's edhca.org. In 1947, there was a treaty signed by President Harry Truman that government scientists, the secret government, purportedly labored alongside an alien force to work out sundry ways the general population could be brought under the ultimate totalitarian control that would leave humanity as little more than farm animals to be used for breeding. Or as the Jews say, the goyim is another word for cattle, all which began with a 1947 treaty signed by President Harry Truman that set in motion where the elite obtained alien technology secrets in exchange for permitting the aliens to abduct human subjects for their diabolical research. In time, the elite would be allowed to survive to become overlords of the human sheep under the ultimate control of the aliens, like the dogs that watch the sheep on a human farm. Located almost 2 miles beneath the Archuleta Mesa on a Jicarilla Apache Indian reservation near Dulce, New Mexico, was an installation classified so secret the existence would be one of the most protected realities in the world. This was the Earth's first main joint United States government alien biogenetics laboratory. Others exist in Colorado, Nevada, and Arizona, not to mention a number of other locations like Afghanistan and Russia, but Dulce is or was the largest. In an era when the officers in charge of the major military units were all part of the generation that looked on young women, potential mothers, as a treasure to be protected, to learn that thousands of young females were being abducted, even created, cloned, for use as sex slaves by aliens was simply too much for such men to allow to continue. Carter tried to stop the abduction program. The turning point came when National Security Advisor Dr. Zbigniew Brzezinski met with Jimmy Carter in the White House on June 14, 1977, with a number of other intelligence operatives and leaders to bring the president up to speed on a number of top secret programs, including Project Aquarius and the work being done at Dulce Area 51, and the other secret bases. Brzezinski, a member of the power elite that backed the gray cards, never guessed that the president would be so shocked he would soon turn to military advisors in the military intelligence community for options on how to stop what was going on. The National Security Agency had been secretly fighting the alien cause and the humans that worked for or with the aliens since it was established in the mid-50s. Project Aquarius was originally established in 1953 by order of President Eisenhower under the control of MSC and MJ-12 that my friend Bill Cooper talked about. And Aquarius and portions of it went into deep cover, hidden even from the CIA and the NSC. At that point, the NSA had opened Department X to identify and study all alien or enemy operations that could be a threat to the United States or the human race in general, and Department Z to react and neutralize any sort of threat to the United States or the human race. Under secret presidential order signed by President Jimmy Carter, the one president that's come out against the Israelis' treatment of the Palestinians, the same way the aliens treat the humans that they abducted, the NSA, Department Z, and the newly established Delta Force, and especially hand-picked group of Air Force, SOC, Navy SEAL, and Army Rangers, were organized for missions so secret that not even command officers were told what it was about until the night of the attack. The only attack team leaders who knew what this would be about were the men involved in NSA Department Z, who had been involved with fighting aliens for years. The commanding officer of the attack was none other than Captain Mark Richards, son of the infamous Dutchman, Major Ellis Lloyd Richards, who had been the commander of the international security since Admiral Chester Nimitz died in 1966. By 1978, the NSA Department X was warning the human commanders of the new program started at Dulce that were so frightening that even seasoned men of war were shocked. Thousands of young human females were being created in test tubes to be sex slaves of the alien, but these clones were proving to be less than satisfied for the aliens because they didn't suffer in the same way that once free victims did. They could be engineered to provide better sexual tools for some of the stranger life forms, but they were proving to be nearly mindless and thus couldn't react with the fear that normal young women could. For that reason, while the clone program would continue, it has been decided that the abduction program would be stepped up with the forced short-term attacks to increase by 1980 to over 100,000 a year, and the facility to be enlarged for long-term victims who would stay there for as long as they lived, with numbers over 75,000. The labs at Dulce started cloning human females by a process perfected in the world's largest and most advanced biogenetic laboratory, Los Alamos. These site elite humans who manipulated the world's governments from the shadows would soon have a disposable slave race for the medical culling of body parts and their own perverted pleasures. Like the alien grays, the U.S. secret government secretly kidnapped and impregnated young females, then removed the hybrid fetus after a 3-month time period before accelerating their growth in laboratories. Biogenetic DNA manipulation program was then instilled, many being implanted with all sorts of devices, that some that would allow them to be controlled at a distance through radio frequency transmissions. David, I'm going to bring you up here. This is a long report. I don't believe it's fiction, and it certainly backs up what you're talking about. What you've mentioned is the children being abducted and everything else that's happened here. And the report goes on to say some of the aliens were working for us, and some of them were working for the elite, for the secret world government. So,
well,
David
Clayton,
Kaas, welcome.
You're welcome, Clayton, and that was a fantastic introduction, just a tip of the iceberg of what's going wrong here at the moment in not only the United States but the entire world as a whole. And I just want to say thank you for having me on today, and we do have a lot to talk about. First of all, these beings that are here for over 70 years, originally from the planet Zeta Reticulum, known as the Greys, they've been for a long, long time. They actually got involved in our World War II dilemma, and were promoting the Nazi regime before they came over and shared their the sonar technology with us, which allowed us to actually win the war. But you're right, they are, the main contingency of them is beneath the ground near Dulce, New Mexico, and that's where the majority of our children have been taken that have been reported missing in the last 10 years. They're taken there and they hook them to drainage machines which tap their pituitary glands with a hormonal extract that they mix with chemicals to feed their young baby greys and themselves. They're all addicted to our hormonal secretions, and this has been an ongoing problem, and this is basically the essence of why there is an Agenda 21 at the moment being carried out and put into force by the elite in this country, the world, and our higher up governmental people, is to eliminate 3/4 of the planet's population so they can just herd the rest of us into a field and use us for cattle to be drain our children's pituitary glands whenever they need them.
They wrote that in stone. It's called Georgia Guidestones.
Yep,
and they want to eliminate the population till there's only 500 million of us. That'd be 499 million slaves and 1 million elitists.
Sure. Well, there's a lot of postings on the YouTube and different websites now that talk about how these Greys were the ones that came down a long time ago to the Semites and the beings all around the planet, the Mayans and whatnot, and gave them their cultures and educated them. Well, that's a bunch of bull hockey. They weren't the ones that came here. We've been visited over time by over 20 different planets in the universe that have all come here and tried to help us step up our civilization levels at different times in history, but it wasn't the Greys, and the Greys are not the god of anything, and they're here and they're trying to take over. Actually, a lot of them are smaller than 4 foot. Some of them are about 7 foot, but they're real skinny. They don't have a mouth that talks, and they do have technology which is a little ahead of us, which is basically a beam of energy which can knock us out or kill us. But we will have this technology soon given to us by our friends, the Galactic Federation of Planets, which is a conglomeration of several worlds out there all working together against this dark force, which is the Greys. And we'll have this technology and we'll be using it weapon for weapon against them soon. But I just want to let everyone know out there that exciting, you may say to yourselves and your family and your friends, what's really going on? Well, listen to Clayton Douglas daily. You'll find out what's really going on. He knows, and we've met several years back and spent a weekend together, and that's how I know you, Clayton, and we're familiar with each other, and I think we're on the same page now. But for all of you out there that haven't heard yet, the new molecular electron south-spun fluid concept, which I have now on the YouTube under a new cure for cancer, is what you need to start doing to all your fluids today, every time you take a drink of anything, because this is why we're all catching cancer. This is where the heart attack is coming from, and a lot of other diseases that are affecting the human body. It's from drinking the wrong molecularly influenced fluid every day of your life. Whenever you drink anything that's forced through a metal pipe, it spins the electron in that glass of fluid you're drinking to the north. That's like the insects. They spin to the north. We spin to the south.
Don't forget to mention the fact that they are trying to poison us. They are trying to kill us. This is what the AMA, American Medical Association, and who actually work for the Jewish pharmaceutical companies like Monsanto,
Right.
which we just had a worldwide protest. I'd like for you to mention that. With Monsanto, I've been telling you for years what Monsanto tried to do. They didn't want us well-trained, combat-hardened troops coming back from Vietnam and seeing what a communist slime pit this country has become. A Jewish communism slime pit. And by the way, while I'm on that particular mindset here, you know, I smoked a joint with you, David. We had a good time. We walked down Venice Beach and got high, smoked a joint. I appreciate that. I knew you were real. I've also smoked a joint with some other people. Now, keep in mind, I've never jumped up and said in the beginning of a conversation that are you Jewish? Are you Jewish? And I didn't ask that of Adam Kokesh, because I judge people by what they do. But Adam Kokesh just made the headlines a couple of times on the internet. One was because he called for an armed march in a no-gun zone of Washington, D.C. I think that would have gotten a lot of people hurt, and certainly got a lot of people arrested and charged for carrying a gun into Washington. I thought it was fake. And then Adam started bragging about how he was Jewish. He was Jewish. And didn't practice a faith, but he bragged about being Jewish. And then he got arrested at a pot protest, marijuana protest, and before he got busted, 6 days before he got arrested, he had a website up called Free Adam Kokesh, raising money. They think we're fools, folks. They set this page up 6 days before the event. I think no one could figure out when it was created, but we did. There was no updates after the 12th, meaning the whole page in its entirety was set up for him going to jail at that pot rally.
Well, they set all that up. They set all that up. Adam Kokesh has worked for them as well. You know, it's almost funny nowadays if you don't know what's going on, but we do. And to be Jewish simply means that you were either born into that line of heredity, or you become a follower of that religion. But that religion is so half-baked and backwards. They celebrate Passover on the right day. They do it on the waning moon, and then they return to the Gregorian Saturday to celebrate their weekly Sabbath count on. And both of those facts are more than apparent to me. My mother was born a Rosenberg of the lineage of Judah, not Jewish, of the lineage of Judah, and she became a Methodist when she was adopted from an adoption agency, and then became a Catholic later when she married my father. But she's of the tribe of Judah, which is not Jewish. The word Jewish was a word that was coined by all the peoples that lived outside of Judea in the day and age. Within the tribes that were left there, they were known as Sadducees, Pharisees, and Zealots, and Essenes, which Jesus was born into. But no people within the three tribes that were left down there called themselves Jews.
Minnie, let me just point out, I've said we crossed the Caucasus Mountains. I believe I was of the tribe of Judah also. We crossed the Caucasus Mountain, turned left, and walked into Germany. And and the Bible says we'll forget who we are. So we started calling ourselves Germans. We started calling ourselves Caucasian. And that's what Christian identity is about. This is what my book's about. This is why they attacked Christian identity. This is why they attacked Eli James, tried to say that he was Jewish. Because I'm from the tribe of Judah. My ancestors walked across the Caucasus Mountains to escape slavery in Syria And this is why the Jews, and I've got this up on my site, the Jews declared war in 1933 against the German people, because we are the real descendants of the tribe of Judah, not these Khazarian Bolsheviks, and just substitute neocons and Zionists for the word Bolsheviks, and you'll see where our problems was. As as Alexander Solzhenitsyn so aptly revealed, we cannot state that all Jews are Bolsheviks, but without Jews there would have never been Bolshevism. And for a Jew, nothing is more insulting than the truth. The blood-maddened Jewish terrorists had murdered 66 million victims in Russia from 1918 to 1957. And once the world Jewry was successful in dragging the USA into the war in their choreographed Pearl Harbor maneuver, all stops were pulled out, and the vicious disintegration of Hitler and Germany began in earnest, never to abate to this day. Now, also keep in mind, folks, that Joe Biden, the Vice President of the United States, praised American Jews for playing leading roles in the fight for homosexuality, homosexual marriage, open borders, feminism, and Biden said that Jews were one of the biggest factors, if not the single biggest driving social change in America.
Well, that's all true. That's all true. You know, Clayton, one of the facts that I've studied over the years since I've come to this planet and whatnot is, I always wondered, I asked my dad about it, I said, how come there's more girls than boys in our classes? How come there's more girls in the world than boys or women than men? And he scratched his head, he'd go, I don't know, it's always been like that, and all the way back to Jesus' day and age, it used to be okay for a man to take more than one wife, and because there's more women around than men. And although there's a diametric difference between females and males, we've all got to get along, and we've all got to make this creation work for ourselves at the moment. And one of the biggest problems that I see nowadays is the fact that that the women are actually getting their acts together and starting to form groups and alliances amongst themselves. And this is all good and it's all set in time, but we as men are falling apart all over the place. They're causing a division within the male sector of our society. They're causing us to all hate each other for our colors or for our races or for our creeds or for our religions, for whatever. And we as men have to come together once again as a group and as a unit, so to speak. I mean, if we were over fighting a battle in a war, it wouldn't matter what nationality you were. We'd all train together in boot camp, and we'd all be down and dirty for each other, if that's what it was. And that's what we've got to become once again.
Women are supposed to be there to back us up, back the men up. That's what the Bible teaches.
Exactly.
That's what the Bible teaches. That doesn't mean that we need to disrespect them. And again, this Hegelian dialectic is at work here. Well, let the women serve. Let the women serve in the military. How many women have been raped in this, since this whole opening up of the military to the females have happened? Thousands have been raped by their own soldiers, and they've done this. This is what happens in Army. You take over a country, you take over Iraq, and you let the soldiers start raping the women. Now they don't have to go anywhere to rape any women. They can rape their own fellow soldiers.
Well, that's our chain of our generals and our captains, and that's the higher ups. They're allowing this to transpire and take place and continue. This is something that should not be done, and it should not be allowed. And the women can serve with men if they want, but they should be given the utmost respect, and everyone should be respected that's serving in our military. In fact, at the moment, everyone should be given the respect by the people as well as their commanding officers, and anyone that would do anything like that should be taken out and shot for abusing someone else, especially when you put your life on the line and join our military ranks in order to serve this country. That's terrible. That's a terrible thing. I can't believe that the military is allowing this, but these are old military guys that have come up through the ranks, and they're told what to do as well by their superiors. So, when our own presidents are caught getting a head job from some secretary of theirs, and
by the way, who was a Mossad plant. This is the way the Israelis operate. They want to get you involved in a sex scandal. They put their agents in. They put their female agents in. And that's exactly what happened to Bill Clinton. He was getting a little out of line. But he was a drug dealer too, just like George Bush Sr. and George Bush Jr. And also Jeb Bush was in the Republican Party, the head of the Republican Party in Florida, who was taking all of the drug money for donations. The drug cartels are buying the politicians.
Well, that's just it. The drug cartels have actually come about or manifested because of our politicians. But it's not just our politicians. It goes back to the Greys. The Greys are what instituted Monsanto and caused Monsanto to be in a controlling position right now as well. When I heard about genetically modified fruits and vegetables 25 years ago, I thought, my God, this is amazing. We'll one day have watermelon with no seeds in it, like we do nowadays. But the problem is the Greys have also caused it to be that they've inserted hog genes and chicken genes into these plants, and that's what's no good for us. So, all we really need, we can genetically modify anything nowadays, but we need to do it correctly in a correct form. And as long as we have these Greys on this planet getting their fingers into everything that's being done, trying to get it into everything that's being done for our own good, it's not going to be. It's going to be for our own demise. And so this is what we have to take a real sharp view of and hone in on, and we've got to get rid of them. And how do we get rid of them? Well, first of all, we've got to clean house politically. We've got to re-elect our senators and congressmen. No Republicans, no Democrats can be allowed in our judicial systems any longer. No Democrats or Republicans can be allowed in our state or federal government any longer, because this is the paid-off group. This is the group that's getting run by these Greys, and they always have been ever since they've arrived. Now,
two wings of the same bird, and it don't matter. It don't matter
exactly.
whether they're Jewish, whether they're Christian, whether they say they're. Joe Biden, he just gave a lecture before the Zionist committee here, and of course you got the Heisenbergs out there. Oh, I think that's your cue there, Richard. Got the Heisenbergs out there saying, "Oh, you're a hater if you're talking about the Jews." No, I'm not. I hate thieves. I hate liars. I hate criminals. I hate child molesters.
What?
And the child molesters have invaded the Boy Scouts to make more homosexuals out of the Boy Scouts.
Well, John Heisenberg, who's W.H. Eisenberg on the chat board there, he's a plant. He's a plant right here, right before you all out there, and I want you all to realize this. He's one of the ones working for the dark forces, because he's trying to disrupt. He's trying to give us a bad name. He even kicked me off the chat board last week, and I haven't been able to get on there anymore. So I'd like to say thank you, John Heisenberg. Your day is coming soon. But we're spreading the good word around Clayton, and we're telling the truth just like it should sound. And everybody's listening to you. Everybody's listening to everything you say every day. And I've been spreading it around as well on the Facebook channel and everywhere that I can. But this is coming down to this next election is when it's all going to be done and said, and final time to see whether the people of this country actually want the best for their children, their grandchildren, or whether they don't care anymore. Now, we have a lot of people out there that still cast a vote, that still don't know what's really going on, and that's what we're doing here today, is waking them up and letting them know that they do have a choice, they can make a difference. And what I'm going to be running on is a ticket which asks all the voters to do a write-in ballot this next time. That is where you go in and you sign your ballot with an ink pen, and that gives the counters the ability to recount it as many times as they want to see just how many voted. And if we can get a landslide election, which I hope we can, then the Electoral College will have to vote myself and my named vice presidential candidate Jesse Ventura into office. Now, if this happens, we're going to be making the biggest changes this country's ever seen. We're going to be moving the capital from D.C. to the Twin Cities, that's Minneapolis, St. Paul, right out to the Bloomington Airport area, to the new mega mall out there, and we're going to be making other changes as well. But this is something that we're going to get only if our voters vote with the write-in ballot and landslide this next election. There will be no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Nobody will be going for a recount because you won't need to recount them. You'll know just who won, down and dirty. But this is how we're going to do it, and this is what we're going to do. So all these people out here go, oh, you can't do a write-in ballot, or oh, the Electoral College is where they vote from anyway, and da-da-da-da-da. It's like, I don't want to hear that baloney. I've heard it all before. This is our last chance, people. And
Now,
this is,
let me one of the people that I think is a good guy says, tell David to stop making accusations. Does he have confirmation from Jesse? No, he hadn't got any confirmation from Jesse. All he stated is he would like, personally, he would like Jesse Ventura on the ticket with him. I will call Jesse Ventura and talk to him about that. And
well,
as far as Billy Hayes is concerned, they couldn't recover Hitler's DNA because Hitler never died in that bunker. So anything, this is just more bullshit that's going off. Trying to put Hitler down. Now, you ever notice that Alex Jones never talked about? He only talks about Hitler. He only puts Hitler down. He don't talk about Stalin. He don't talk about Marx. He don't talk about Lenin. He don't talk about the Mossad and how Michael Harari, after he killed Colonel Cotolo, who figures in one whole chapter in my book, Mystery Babylon, how Michael Harari threw a party and bragged about being the brains behind 9/11. Yeah, you know, this is
right.
And here's what you do. You got all these, well, maybe some of them, you know, I really don't know for sure. They're probably not all idiots, but they are. That's exactly what the communists refer to them as, youthful idiots. People that, well, we should play fair. We should let the homosexuals into the Boy Scouts. We should do that. Yeah, if it's not your kid, if you don't mind your kid growing up gay, if you don't mind your kid getting AIDS, if you don't mind your kid getting screwed in the ass by some other 12-year-old pervert who has been conditioned or raised by perverted parents, the Bible, and this is why the communists consider religion and Christianity a sin, because that prevents people from doing that. My God, people, you know, I'm sure, jump up there, Heisenberg, you lonesome loser, jump up there and call me a hater, because I don't like homosexuals, I don't care what you do in your own home, I don't care what you can be just as perverted as you want, you can do whatever you want in your own home, don't friggin' mess with my kids. don't mess with our kids. As far as I'm concerned,
don't mess with my kids.
if you're perverted and you're a homosexual and you're a child molester, you ought to just be shot on the spot. And if you support that, then somebody just ought to take your ass out too.
Well, Clayton, I wanted to let Billy Hayes know that over 4 years ago, I addressed a personal letter, 4-page, to Jesse Ventura, and dropped off 2 of my books to his publicist up here in Santa Monica, and invited him on board as my vice presidential candidate. Now, my book specifically lays out the new molecular electron south-spun fluid concept, which Jesse Ventura started doing immediately as soon as he read my book, and that's why his face is getting younger and smoother every day. You see him on television occasionally on his conspiracy theory, and he's getting younger and younger, just like you, just like me, just like Oprah Winfrey, just like Larry King, just like Dr. Phil, who sent me emails asking me when his hair is going to start coming back in. Jesse Ventura is doing this as well for over 4 years. So this is what is boosting him, and this is what's going to cause him to give me the thumbs up when he's asked about this coming presidential election. So Billy Hayes, that's what the news is on Jesse Ventura. And Weisenberg, you can do all you want, but you're getting smaller and smaller in my mind every day. But
it's not Weisenberg, it's Weisenborg. You just need to be assimilated. You need to be assimilated. You ballless wonder. You ballless wonder. If you had any balls, you'd pick up the phone and call in right now. But you won't because you got no balls, Heisenberg. How about that?
Yeah, I invited.
Listen, can I make that? Is that politically correct? Do you think I'm Yeah, no, he hasn't said anything today. He's made up for it. You're right, Kat. He hasn't said one word today because I asked him not to. But I'm telling you, what I'm saying now is just what he's been doing for the last...
Every day
for the last month. So, No, I'm not. No, I don't have anybody else to be pissed off at. Just him. Just him. Because he's been the one asshole. You want to take up for him? Go ahead. Listen to somebody else's show. I don't need you on listening to mine either. How about that? All right, let's go on, David. Let's go on. I want to talk about this. Gordon Duff, another person. Gordon's got a little different views, but he's in the intelligence. He's in the banking. He's got Veterans Today. He supports veterans. That the Homeland Security is putting down. Janet Reno reincarnated, and Janet head of Homeland Security now. The Janet, all these lesbian Janets, all these Jewish lesbian Janets out there are attacking Christian identity. They're attacking veterans. They are attacking the militia member. What part of the Second Amendment don't you folks understand? Now, David, I'm going to elucidate here your candidacy, and we'll talk about it in the second hour. We'll take calls on the second hour from anybody with balls. Call in, or we'll make an exception, Kat. If you don't have balls, maybe you've got guts. You can call in. But let's see. I've got 7 platforms that Gordon Duff suggests in an article here that's linked on my website, that a presidential candidate or any candidate for any office, with the possible exception of dog catcher, here's 7 planks on a platform, and I'll read them off one by one, and tell me if you got to run for president. And I know people, real people that have run for president. Wealthy bankers, wealthy landowners, by the name of Charles Collins, who said we should take back the Federal Reserve. And Charles doesn't feel like Jews are the problem, but Charles isn't as informed as I am. But I know what they did to him. I know how they unplugged his microphone. I know how every Jewish-run station cameraman turned their cameras off when Charles got up. And some of their Republican flunkies unplugged his microphone, so I know how hard it is to run for president. And I still encourage you to do that. Here is what I think your platform should be. And I'll take it one by one, and I want you to tell me whether you agree with it. Number one, stop the wars. All of them.
Agreed.
Bring our troops home to defend our borders. End of story.
Agreed.
2, jail our financial criminals, all of them, and everyone in government who helped them. Secure our future by enforcing our laws. That's what Iceland did. You agree with that one?
Yep.
Jail the financial criminals. Put
totally.
these banksters, too big to fail banksters, put them in jail. Put them in prison or execute them. Okay, 3.
Execution.
3, end all foreign influence in government. Israel, China, and the corporations that claim to be American but are owned by foreigners that hate our guts.
Agree. Totally.
And come on, folks. They've been for 100 years. We've been 200 years since this country was founded. This is what George Washington told you. Trade with everybody, but don't get influenced by them. 4, restore democracy by getting rid of the Supreme Court justices that think they can make up any law they want and spit on the Constitution. Scalia, Roberts, and Thomas have enough dirt on them to be impeached in a New York midterm. Then let the American people decide who replaces them. Not Israel, not Wall Street, and certainly not a pack of thieving lawyers and politicians. That's number 4.
Yep, I agree.
Okay, 5, immediately disband the CIA and Homeland Security. These two groups exist with no other purpose other than to perpetuate threats against America. They are the disease, not the problem. The CIA proved back in 2003 that they're liars and cheats. Nothing has changed since. These groups hate democracy, hate freedom, eat money, and do nothing but find new enemies for America, proving over and over that enemies that wouldn't exist without them.
I agree totally, and that's where our main culprit for our drug problems will come from, is the CIA. All the heroin, cocaine, and everything else, crack, is all from the CIA.
Number
yes,
6.
I agree totally.
Number 6, immediate term limits for Congress in the current seniority committee system and flush Washington clean of lobbyists. A criminal conspiracy is running America. At least it can be a smaller and more efficient one.
Our entire Congress and Senate is criminal, and they should all be taken out and hung.
We've got links on my site to impeach all of them, everyone that's violated their oath of office to the Constitution. Now 7, restore respect for right and wrong, real morality, which is based on accepting fact, honoring truth, honesty, hard work, and decency. For decades, petty conspirators like Heisenberg, just like the ones that we see on TV every day, have taken control, not just of the secret world of spies and wars, but our news, what our children are taught in school, and shamefully what most of us have come to accept as real. Now, you monitor every one of your child's daily lessons. He's on school on the internet. Dr. Jake Wade's A Little Red Schoolhouse does their classes on the internet, on Skype. Timothy Bible College is accredited to people that are going and graduating from the Little Red Schoolhouse, and they've been accepted into college after college after college. So that's number 7. Restore respect for right and wrong.
We need to respect each other, men, women, children. Everyone needs that element of respect. I'm educating my son this year with K-12 online school, and he's getting smart as a whip. He's learned his math, his science, his history. He's excelling, and he was in public school for the last 4 years, and they don't even teach cursive writing there. The mathematics are 0 to nil, and I'm even homeschooling a neighbor boy that stops down in afternoons after he gets home from his 7-hour bout at school, and I'm teaching him math too now, Clayton. So, because he's in a classroom with 30 other kids, he's got a 70-year-old teacher, and she doesn't teach him a darn thing the whole day long. Then they feed him the slop that they do for hot lunch, and he won't even eat it. So, You know, our school systems have fallen apart, people. This is where our future generations are supposed to come from, and they're not even taking the time or putting in the effort or the energy to educate them. I mean, it's only a few years, if you can remember back then, maybe 8 or 9 years, that you even got educated for the little bit that you got way back when. So our education system is completely, totally, utterly falling apart. Monsanto is taking over to try to make it so you can't even collect rain in a barrel from your roof anymore.
That's against the law in Washington. That's against the law in Colorado.
Right. These are all plans that have been put into force by the Greys through our Congress and Senate. You know, even our president is being told what to do by them. And anybody that doesn't believe this, you got to be crazy. Wash your face and come out of her right now, because this is the time and this is the place when we're going to make the change, or this whole world's going down the tubes. But I don't think it's going to. I think that we're going to pull this one off, Clayton, and I think it's going to be a landslide victory. And you mentioned earlier, the Galactic Federation of Planets are here right now at the moment. I'm in direct communication with them for the last 20 years. In fact, I gave a surf lesson to one of their aboard their ship one day 22 years ago, and then I talked with another gentleman that stopped by our front yard. But the person I'm speaking with, his name is Joseph, and I talk to him on a daily basis, telepathically, of course, but it's just like talking on a cell phone.
All right, we're going to take a break. We'll take calls after this break. And stay with me. FreeAmerican.com. If you've got a complaint, go to my website, to Free American, and send me an email. Call me. If you got balls.
We'll be right back.
Wadiya will remain a dictatorship.
Oh, be quiet.
Why are you guys so anti-dictator? Imagine if America was a dictatorship. You could let 1% of the people have all the nation's wealth. You could help your rich friends get richer by cutting their taxes and bailing them out when they gamble and lose. You could ignore the needs of the poor for health care and education. Your media would appear free, but would secretly be controlled by one person and his family. You could wiretap phones. You could torture foreign prisoners. You could have rigged elections. You could lie about why you go to war. You could fill your prison with one particular racial group, and no one would complain. You could use the media to scare the people into supporting policies that are against their interests.
Tune in Monday through Friday, 4 p.m. Eastern Time, for Liberation Nation with Deacon John, where America comes to hear the truth.
I know this is hard for you Americans to imagine, but please try.
Put it out of work, or scared of losing their job, the dollar buys a nickel's worth. Banks are going bust, shopkeepers keep a gun under the counter. Banks are running wild in the streets, and nobody anywhere seems to know what to do, and there's no end to it. We know the air is unfit for drink, our food is unfit to eat. We know things are bad, worse than bad. I want you to get mad. I want you to protest, I don't want you to riot, I don't want you to write to your congressman, because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crime and the street. All I know is this first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say it's time for human beings. God damn it. My life has done. Yo-yo! Be here Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and near the news with Jason Railwood. Because when it's time to crush, it's time for Jason. Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. You don't need to expect us. We're already here.
This is Thomas, a.k.a. a Mad Painter. I'd like you to join me Monday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Open Canvas. Don't forget to bring an open mind.
Yes, folks, that's right. Bring an open mind to an open canvas. Again, that is Monday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern. UFOs, government corruption. This is Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. You don't need to expect us. We're already here.
Now you can share the topics that drive the discussions of your favorite talk shows with TalkStream Live's topic-driven talk radio. List and promote real-time talk radio topics, or post the topics that you want to hear. Hot topics are tweeted and retweeted, and include simple click-to-listen audio links. The future of talk radio is topic-driven talk radio. Available now at TalkStreamLive.com.
Revolution Radio.
You don't see it, do you? How close we are to absolute chaos? The sick ones are sitting on their fat masses, eating and drinking themselves into a stupor, polluting the world without a second thought while it goes down the toilet. Nobody wants to do the nasty work. You know, the shit that we all just think about. Most good citizens are just along for the ride, and they can bitch and moan and complain about everything when it doesn't work out. Get it?
Revolution Radio, where we do the nasty work. www.freedomslips.com.
You're caught in a dream. The adventure begins. Put your seat backs and tray tables in the upright position as we take a trip into the very fabric of reality. Join me, Andrew Marxus, for Adventures into Reality, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, 10 a.m. to 12 noon at Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com, where information never sleeps.
Data safe. You have the necessary information to assist you in confidently living through just about any survival situation. Is survival and gardening, off-grid living, medical knowledge, or even natural or man-made EMPs on your list of personal concerns? You have your documents and your personal information in a safe place in your hands where you know where it is. Well, check out our preloaded EMP-proof thumb drive. Over 3 gigs of survival documents and how-tos, plus USDA offline food preservation website, and much, much more, including a surprise bonus we just can't tell you about here. With plenty of room left over to store your most important documents. Imagine if a megavirus or computer failure took out your bank, or all the banks for that matter. Are your banking records safe in your hands? So when they get things fixed and repaired, you can say, hey, look, this is what I had. You had it. I want it back. Is your personal data safe? Family records, addresses, phone numbers? Well, squeeze on over to freedomslips.com. Yes, that's www.freedomslips.com. Click the banner on the homepage for the EMP-proof bullet drive to get the full scoop of everything that we offer. So, folks, keep your data safe for your peace of mind. Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. You don't need to expect us. We're already here. Revolution Radio. You're listening to Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, 100% listener-supported radio, and now we return you to your host.
All right. We're back, and as far as the chat room is concerned, I'm out of there. See ya, folks. I will
Bunch
not
of clowns
put
in there.
I will not put another word into the chat.
It's like
I don't hammer. I'm
like,
not. No, but no. Hayes, I'm not hammering anybody. I don't care whether you see the world through my eyes. I do information. I do information.
Yeah.
I've talked about the Battle at Dulce, and actually we had people in the chat room that put in some information about that. About the Phil Snyder, the man that they killed and accused and tried to say it was suicide. He reported on this Battle at Dulce a long time ago.
20 years ago.
That's right. And the person that did this story, that's linked up on my website, freeamerican.com, like the alien Greys, the U.S. secret government secretly kidnapped and impregnated human females, then removed the hybrid fetus after a 3-month time period before accelerating their growth in the laboratory, and DNA manipulation, biogenetic programming was then instilled, many being implanted with all sorts of devices that allowed them to be controlled. And what they reported is that 11/7 is worse. It was like a whorehouse for perverted ETs. Human females were brought there for experiments, but you can't convince me that most of it wasn't just sadistic pleasure for the Greys. They wouldn't just impregnate the girls, they would sexually torture them for hours. Sure, there were scientific procedures, but many were just also orgies, where a pretty human females would be given to a large number of Greys for nothing less than a brutal gang rape, and this was constant. Hybrids of the hundreds of Greys and other species that seemed to be friends to the Greys would come and go every week, other than no clear reason to take sexual pleasure with the provided females. And you've tried to tell people about that. I don't believe you had read this. This is information that's just coming up for the ET conference, and I'm pretty sure the people of Sirius that made Sirius will be there at that conference in Henderson, Nevada. And you've reported on this.
Stephen Greer, who's one of their patsies, has got this new Sirius movie out, and that's just another one of these, just like Prometheus and all these other movies that come out. It's just to mislead the public and lead them down another dark alley that goes nowhere. The abuse that the Greys have been doing to these human people, the women in particular, it's not good for their own aggrandizement. It's just to break down the will of the person involved and to make them feel like they're nothing more than a piece of trash, and that's why they're doing it to us. But in this coming election, my main focus is to rebuild this country's entire economy through the legalization of hemp for industrial production, the conversion over to hydrogen-based fuel, which is hydrogen is taken from the water. 2/3 of the planet's surface is water, and we can fuel our engines through the hydrogen molecule, and it burns clean with no emissions at all. And then we're going to reprint our money and circulate it within this country for 7 years, which will allow us to rebuild our economy. We can rebuild our industry. We can rebuild everything that's been taken away from us in the last 30 years, and we can actually become stronger and better country than we've ever been before. Then, at that time, we'll allow the free trade to happen, to become involved again, but we will watch it, and we will make sure that we are not taken advantage of by other countries, and much less the Rothschild family bankers. That's where our main problem has come from, because they finance Lenin and Stalin, they finance Mao, in China, they finance all these different regimes that have so far in history taken over and absolutely decimated these other countries. They even financed, like I said, the World War II involvement along with the Greys, and Adolf Hitler, his father Alois, was the product of an illegitimate sexual encounter by Solomon Rothschild originally. So all these problems that this world has seen and even has historically recorded has all been from the Rothschilds and the Greys in combination, unison. But another point that I wanted to bring up was the moon above, which everyone should now know is an artificial orb, and it was brought in 12,500 years ago by the reptilian race and caused this planet to tilt over 10 degrees, and it's been a big source of a lot of our problems. And the Galactic Federation, through their communication with me, Joseph is the specific person I've been speaking with, he's told me that in 2015, September, their plans are to implode the moon and take it out, and then they're going to bring in, if I'm elected to the presidency this next term with Jesse Ventura, they're going to bring in a already assembled hoop-shaped star base with a reflective dish on it that will imitate the moon at night, so we'll still have a moon above, or look like a moon, and that's where we'll fly our first starships out of this star base. And this is what we all have been waiting for ever since the 1960s with the premiere of the program Star Trek, and this is what will put us into the regions of space. We'll be able to explore and find new life and new civilizations, but also at the same time they're going to be offering the planet an alliance to the Galactic Federation. That means this planet will be the next one to step up, and we'll have interstellar communication going with several different worlds. We'll have exchange programs going. They'll educate our doctors and our dentists as to how to fix our teeth, how to fix our bodies, how to fix all of our problems, because they're way ahead of us in evolution as far as medical procedures and whatnot. So this is be the biggest shot in the arm to this planet it's ever received, joining the Galactic Federation of Planets and becoming one of their member worlds. And this is the same that we did in this country in 1776. We just organized 13 states over here, which is the same as 13 planets, and we decided, hey, it's all for one and one for all. That's the only way we could ever survive. So this is what I'm bringing out and putting on the table right now with you, and this is what all the people have to realize. It's either all or nothing out there. And even though you got Doug Heisenberg on the chat board and maybe a few other cronies like Kosher Ted and from the old blog TV station, which you did before, these are just the disruptors out there. They're the ones that are trying to get everybody to go the wrong way.
They may be actually, have all the best intentions. So I don't care, and I ain't bringing them up no more. As long as they leave my guests alone and leave me alone, I don't care about them. Now, let me talk to you about, again, we had these 7 things that Gordon Duff, who'll be on my show next week, or maybe this week, I don't know, lost track here, but there was a 8th thing here that I want to see happen. I wrote a book about it. I wrote books about it. I wrote books about the whole 10,000, 100,000 year history that one of the gentlemen that we're going to have on that you're going to get for me in June talked about, the 150,000 year old cities in Africa. And I've told people that anytime a man with a badge can come up to you and say, "What's that in your pocket? What's that I smell? Is that marijuana?" Congratulations, you've just discovered that you live in a police state. If they can put you in prison for a victimless crimes, if you got a little bit of cocaine or heroin in your pocket, and you get put in jail for that, it's not just hurting you, it's hurting your family, it's hurting the taxpayers, because these prisons are extorting $50,000 a year to feed and clothe you and take care of your medical expenses. And this is supposed to be a kinder, gentler way, because we don't want to just hang somebody for treason anymore. spend a little money on rope. And I have said to Obama the same thing that Reagan said to Gorbachev: tear down that wall, Obama. Tear down that wall, replace it with tables, abolish all the laws against victimless crimes, and let people grow marijuana in their backyard. Let them grow poppies in their front yard. Those are really pretty. Let the Mexicans, let the Colombians, let the Peruvians bring all the cocaine or the methamphetamine that they want up here, pay a duty on it, lay it on the table, and go back 100 years when you could go to the drugstore and get cannabis extract in your medicine, when you could get laudanum opium extract in your medicine. You could just go to the drugstore and buy it. Let's take the hold that Monsanto and these corporations that have sprung up around and are financed by these private banks. Let's take that back. Take that away from them. Take that power away from them. To quit making Americans into criminals. That's what Ayn Rand tried to tell you 50 years ago. And I read Atlas Shrugged when I was in prison doing time for marijuana, which we had no more than we could have walking down Venice Beach today smoking one.
Right.
Now,
well,
we've
Michael
already got this,
Pelzer,
and by the way, there are hemp farms. They stole our #1 cash crop, a billion dollar crop back in the 30s. It's already a $1 billion crop in California. And, you know, the only thing I don't agree with is having to pay a doctor to get his permission to smoke it. I don't think God gave me that. I don't need the doctor's permission. And so, I say abolish all the laws against victimless crimes and remove the banks and the corporations from existence. Make free trade real. Let the, I mean, NAFTA is what drove all the illegals up here. This is what they've done over and over again, and they drove the Jews to Israel. They drove the Jews out of Russia. They drove the Jews out of Germany. And they set up their own little Jewish colony by Rothschild. He ran it like his own little private resort. It was a safe country. And they still running the drugs. They're still making ecstasy over there. They're still they're still running the heroin out of Afghanistan. And our troops are guarding it. Now, why would we put an American in prison for having a little bit of heroin? Why? If they want to shoot it up and kill themselves, go ahead, do it close to one of these places. Put a little bell on your neck so you know your family can find you and ship you off to the crematoriums.
Right, right. Well, Michael Tellinger, the gentleman who discovered the find over in Africa, he just sent me a letter this last week, Clayton, and he says in the letter, all the best in your announcement for running for the election. Awesome stuff. You have my full support. And as I told you this last week, he's planning to be on your show this next month. So I am in constant email communication with him. But then this next election, we're going to zero out the debt. Nobody's going to owe anybody anything from the get-go. That's the only way you can get an economy restarted, as they demonstrated over in Iceland. You have to zero out all the debts. You have to start the economy with new jobs for everyone. I would like to see this country completely be employed within a couple of years through the hemp industry, through the hydrogen fuel industry, and the other part of the equation is we're all going to need energy to do all this work, and I am planning to bring back that famous Ark of the Covenant, which is now sitting near Axum, Ethiopia, and we're going to put it into a rebuilt pyramid structure and turn it back on. It's going to be located on the east bank of the Mississippi River near St. Paul, Minnesota, and this is going to allow free electricity to everybody and anybody in the country that wants it. That will be an amazing breakthrough in our energy technology as well as the hydrogen fuel for our engines. But this is something that was demonstrated by Nikola Tesla at the 1895 Chicago World's Fair when he lit it up at night using light bulbs that had no wires to them, where he built his towers that he placed strategically around the fairground and turned them all on, and they generated this positive spun current, the same as the pyramid will when the arc is replaced inside of it. And this positive spin charge allows anyone anywhere to turn on the battery or turn on their television set or start up their car without the use of a battery, which has a limited amount of charge in it. This positive spin electron frequency is what needs to be erected once again, and it'll allow our country to get back up on its feet.
David, I went to the Tesla convention in Albuquerque, and I was kind of amazed. There was no Tesla technology there at all, and neither was there any magnetic generators. Now, in Australia, a company built magnetic generators. They were stackable, so you could get as much power as you wanted in a small area. The generator was just a little bit larger than a water heater, and it would generate one of these little generators would generate enough power to power your home. But they have, when I asked why don't you have anything like that, their answer was it's against national security. So national security, the Homeland Security, the war on terror, and this is all controlled by the oil companies, which are among the corporations that have sprung up from the fact the bankers can print all their money and buy all the land for the gas stations that they want. They can set them up. They don't. This isn't an individual entrepreneur. Matter of fact, my family was in the oil business in Texas 50, 70 years ago, and they were put out of business by the people like the Bushes.
But Clayton, I'd like to let the listening audience out there know that if I do take the presidency this next time, as I said, Craig Westbrook will be my head of energy, but you, sir, I would like you to accept the position of head of the FBI. If you are appointed formally head of the FBI, you yourself can change all this with all of our law enforcement. You can actually sign a few documents, just like J. Edgar Hoover did way back when, and you can make the whole country work perfectly. No more arrests of individuals for any of these crazy trumped-up charges, and you at the same time could make a difference in just the way things are done in the whole country. So I would be offering to you that seat on my White House staff as head of the FBI, and you can think about that for a while, but I think you're a man that's well qualified for that job, maybe the best of all.
Well, you know, the interesting thing, the FBI did link me and put me into a little booklet they put out in New Mexico. It was called Guide to Right-Wing Extremists, and I was there, enlisted there. But a short time later, I walked into the FBI office in Albuquerque. Took me 3 or 4 times, taking off my Leatherman, taking off my phone and all that. But I walked in with a bundle of Free Americans, some of the last ones I printed, that had the story of 9/11. I walked in and I set it down on the desk, and I told the agent, I just brought you, I brought you enough. I brought you enough for one of, I brought you enough magazines here for every agent in your office. And here, you know, and I set it down. I wanted all your agents to know who I am. This was right after they passed that Senate Bill 1959. That was the homegrown terrorist. They were trying to make anybody that did the militia into terrorists. And I set the magazines down on the table. And he said, well, Clay, we know. but
They better know who you are.
But I also walked out of there. I walked out of the FBI office. I wasn't detained. Supposedly a right-wing extremist. And by the way, that Senate Bill 1959 became the whole fusion centers, which is the federal government trying to, that's an expansion on the, multi-jurisdictional task force. And that's what the fusion centers became. That is the federal government trying to go in and take over the police department. So that's why they're so afraid of Richard Mack and the sheriffs, because the sheriffs can override the police departments. That's why that's why Biden's son tried to remove arrest powers from sheriffs there in Delaware. Hey, we've got what is this? We got a caller in.
Let's see what they got to ask.
Go ahead.
Yeah, hello.
Yeah, who do we have?
Hello, this is Olive. Olive to him on chat. I just came on. I heard a little bit of arguments going on. I don't know what they're about, but I have a question for you, David. Kaas, you say you're going to be the president of the United States?
Well, I said I'm going to run for it. Did you know this last time we had over 100 people on the YouTube all running on independent tickets? I'm just another one of them.
I know, but I mean, what's the purpose?
What's that?
You don't know what problems we're having at the moment, Tom?
No, I understand all the problems we're having. I understand the power of the Illuminati and the dark alien gods and their control.
Do you understand that we need to be harvesting hemp and turn it into over 1,000 products, or we need to convert our engines over to hydrogen-based fuel from the water? Do you understand that we all would like free electricity?
Yeah, we got to work on that.
No, we don't need to work on it. We need to get it. We need to have it. All the work has already been done. We know where it's going to come from.
The media is the bottom line. I don't care what.
No, it's not. The media is sold out.
If you don't have any intermediate output, nobody knows who you are.
Well, what do you think we're on the air today for?
That's what I'm saying.
What do you think Oprah Winfrey and Dr. Phil are south spinning their fluids for 5 years for?
And how are you going to get on my radio? You tell me how you're going to get on mainstream media. I'm here. Go ahead.
He's not going to get on mainstream media because mainstream media is all controlled by the Zionists. So he's probably not. That's why we have the internet. I can't get on mainstream media. I can't get on mainstream media either because they won't allow me on. And that's our biggest problem.
Wait, David, let me ask you a question. This is really simple. How are you going to reach
I'd like to hear a simple question because
the masses people. How are you going to reach the mass of people?
I am right now. I'm starting. This is the beginning. We have 2 years till the election or more. So this is how you do it. You get on the internet because everybody nowadays is watching the internet more than they are direct TV. They're watching the internet more than the 4 channels. They're laughing at the 4 channels because the 4 channels have absolutely disgraced themselves with the Boston bombing incident. Everybody knows the 4 channels are all paid for now by the elite. What are you talking about? When are you going to wake up, brother?
Well, you think, okay, so you think that you're going to get enough audience on the internet?
No, I don't think. I know I'm going to get it on the internet. And did you know that the main majority of our voting populace is all under the age of 30? Those are where all the youngsters out there, they're the majority of the voters. It isn't the old cronies. It isn't the guys.
How is your vote going to count, and how are you going to connect to the military to support you?
I'll tell you what. And then I'm letting you go because you ain't making all you're doing is frankly just taking up time. Let me tell you, shut up. I'm talking right now. Let me respond. My show, or we can hang up on you right now. Now, I am writing for Veterans Today. I've got Veterans Today editor on here. He's got over 140,000 subscribers that will listen to our show that we'll put up on Veterans Today. I have been doing this for 20 years. I've been on worldwide shortwave. I've been on a lot of things. I am fighting the New World Order. I am fighting the media. I started my Free American magazine because of the way the mainstream media treated the people in Waco. And David is just my guest today. I support him and his right to run for office, and you've got that right too. You want to run for president? Go ahead. Go ahead. I respect him for that, and I expect you to respect my guest. And if you're listening to my show, I want to have a little bit of respect from you too. Understand? Get rid of him. Get rid of him. I'm tired of talking to him.
Yeah, people like that, Richard, Clayton, people like that just want to stir the pot more, and this pot isn't getting stirred anymore. It's done. We know what's going on. The whole public knows what's going on. They know what's going to happen to them soon because we've had good examples in the last 2 years.
Let me ask you something, David. Let me ask you something. Gee, how did people all over the world hear about that Monsanto rallies all over the world? How did they hear about that? How did they hear about that? This guy is an idiot, another idiot trying to hide under the name of olive, olive oil. What do you think? What are you, some kind of cartoon character? To hell with that.
Well, we don't need callers to call up and just give us more back talk. We need callers to call in that are in agreement with what we're saying and that actually want to know questions answered concerning this next election, concerning the problems that are at hand. We don't need anybody to call in to say, what about this, what about that, what about this, because we all know about this and that and the other thing. And as I was saying, Clayton, my presidential campaign will be on the internet. It will not be on the fourth channel.
David, keep talking. I'll be gone for just a second. Go ahead.
Sure. And all you listeners out there in La La Land on Freedom Slips and Blog Talk Radio and the YouTube and wherever you may be, this is the time now when we all need to pay attention to exactly what's going on. Not just this last weekend with the rallies against Monsanto all around the world, but we also need to get online with exactly what our own government here in the United States has been doing to us with the Monsanto endorsements and the taking away our right to collect rainwater off our roof or to have a chicken coop in our backyard or to raise our own fish or our own vegetables in our own gardens. What the heck is going on? All of our lives we've been raised on the ideas of freedom and democracy and our rights, and all of our rights are now being taken away. Not even slowly but surely. They're quickly being taken away with the different amendments being canceled out. And this president we have, Barry Soetoro, he is just a puppet, of course, by our elite, by the Illuminati, by the Rothschilds, by the Greys, but he will be taken out as well shortly, and that's because they don't care about anybody that's working for them at all. They use them as examples, and this will be another type of incident that'll cause people a big uproar and disturbance. But that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to cause you to get upset and disturbed every week, every day. So everyone, just calm down. Keep your guns loaded. Don't turn them in. Don't fire them off either. Don't go to any of these protest rallies. Don't give any support to anyone. Just know that the next election, which is coming in roughly 2 years, we're all going to be able to walk in, take our pens out, and sign the name of who you choose for your next president. Hopefully, God willing, that'll be me and Jesse Ventura, and we will remake this entire country, this entire world, almost overnight. We'll join the Galactic Federation of Planets, and then you'll see some big things. That's right.
Now, by the way, David, you understand that that we are not in a democracy. We are in a republic, and Nighthawk just pointed that out on the show. But let's go back. And today is Veterans Day, And the information I shared with you was from Veterans Today, and that's part of it. So.
Right. Well, the reason we still have a vote in this country is not because we're not allowed to vote in our official leader. It's because we are still allowed to vote in our official leader. And granted, we still have an electoral college in place, which takes a summation of all of our votes, and then they cast the final vote. But in any landslide election, they are forced to vote in the favor of the most qualified candidate that the people have decided for themselves. I'm not talking about a recount vote in one state like Florida, which the Bushes pulled off once again on us. I'm not talking about a him and Han decision amongst electoral college. I'm talking about a landslide election where 99% of our votes are all counted as many times as they want because they're all written on a ballot, and we know hands down across the table who won this election. That's the kind of vote I'm looking for. That's the kind of election we're going to have this next time. One where the people decide what the electoral college is going to do.
Well,
that's the kind of vote
I think your slogan there, you picked out a perfect slogan. And I think we ought to reach out to the 40-some-odd million people that have been disenfranchised, that have been made into criminals, that they want you to think you can't vote, you can't own guns, you can't do anything because you got busted for a little pot or a little weed in one of these straight states.
Clayton, we can do everything. We can do everything and more that this country's ever been told it could do. And I'm talking to the young people out there, the ones who are now 17 years of age, who by the time this election rolls around will be 19 years of age and able to go cast their vote. I'm talking about the married people out there that have all lost their jobs, lost their incomes, losing their futures, and they're all raising children right now, young children. I'm talking to all the old people that still got their money in the banks and are all sitting back and thinking to themselves, oh, I'm going to lose it all soon. You know, all you people of all ages, you've got to listen to good common sense. I was raised on a farm in Iowa. I've got 7 brothers and sisters under me. I know what hard work is, and I know what determination means. And that's what I'm putting forth in this campaign. That's what I'm going to be talking to the country via the YouTube, via the internet. I'm going to be speaking the truth, and I'm going to be calling out the bad guys. And whether it be the FBI, the police force, the Congress and Senate, the Democrats, the Republicans, even President Obama, if he wants to come on your show and chit-chat with you or me, hey, that's great. Let's get them to come on out and say what they got, because you know, if all they do is hide behind that facade of presidency or Congress or Senate, then you can bet you can tell that they're a bunch of phonies and they're a bunch of crooks as well, just like our bankers. So, you know, we need to zero out all of our debts. That's the first thing we need to do, and then we need to legalize hemp for industrial production and convert our engines to hydrogen.
And let's not forget, abolish all laws against victimless crimes. If you don't have a victim, there is no crime. Now, since today is Veterans Day, since today is Veterans Day, let me pass this on from Veterans Today, from and Gordon Duff will be on my show this next week here. Let me just give you folks a lineup of who I've got coming on my show. Tomorrow we'll have Jay Gutierrez from Nighthawk Minerals. Wednesday we'll have J. Michael Thomas Hayes, and you can read his book, The Culling of Man, up on my website. Thursday we'll have Gordon Duff, whose article I'm going to share with you today. And
for the things you can't wash, freshen them with Febreze.
What's that?
Febreze eliminates odors and leaves a light, fresh scent.
Hang on a second.
Febreze, breathe happy.
I don't know what happened there. Oh, some little thing pops up on my thing here. Let me continue here. Gordon Duff will be on Thursday, editor from Veterans Today. On Friday, we'll have Michael Velarde, who's was a criminal investigator for the IRS. He served 22 years. Now he's here to work for you. Then we're going to have John Henry Romfield talking about drug smuggling in the Texas National Guard on Monday. Bill Frady on Wednesday, Lock and Load Radio. An attempt to reach out to Americans and explain the difference between engaging and spectating. That's being presented by Gun Owners of America. Thursday, we'll have Christy McLaughlin on, second hour, the Dreamer, talking about the new film, Dreamer. And Orly Tatus will be on my show the week after that, Tuesday, June 11th. Orly will be on. Actually, I think Friday we're going to probably make a shifter. I think Christy McLaughlin will be on Friday, and that'll leave Thursday open. At any rate, Gordon Duff put out this article, and to me it is a little bit of hope. Gordon reaches 200,000 people, and many of these people, all of these people are veterans, and many of them are still active and in the system. He says that in recognition of the current state of emergency, leaders of America's military and intelligence community loyal to constitutional authority have taken exception with the continuing of governmental and command authority. This is not a specific challenge to Obama presidency, but rather a clear recognition of the seizure of political authority in the U.S. and most other Western nations has ended all representative government. By this standard, all governmental actions of the U.S. since the time of 2000, when a criminal conspiracy overthrew the government of the United States through violence, threats of violence, and massive fraud. And in light of what many believe to be the upcoming collapse, world war, economic meltdown, climate sabotage, global pandemics, and radiation threats, key evidence has been brought forward. The oft-spoken of New World Order is now much more than conspiracy or myth. The United States is now and has been little more than a colony to be bled dry. It's clearly recognized that this organization stands to destroy the last vestiges of human civilization in service of some indiscernible goal. Ascribing the term reptilian to these machinations is an insult to a viper. The old dialectic, republic or democracy, is passé. Much of the world exists under the slavery of a new world order or is awaiting doom. Not all will pass into darkness as sheep, as happened in America and her allies. It's the people against the New World Order. Now, legally, George Bush was never president of the United States, according to legal opinions, and now under broad acceptance with America's top commanders. Authorities cite the election of former Vice President Al Gore. The same authorities demand both the restoration of the Gore presidency and the impeachment of Gore for failure to assume office though legally elected. Records of Supreme Court deliberations during their bizarre move against the Constitution in 2000 show that they were aware not just of broad electronic vote rigging, but that 5 court members were fully involved in a plot against the United States, knowingly complicit in a coup that involved broad threats of violence, blackmail, and bribery on a massive scale. New information on the 2000 election, information now in the hands of top military officials in the U.S., conclusively prove that America's government is in free fall, just like the World Trade Towers. The evidence, leaked by top Pentagon commander, tells a story now very easy to believe, a story of hate, of greed, and especially of brutal totalitarian intent. A group closely aligned with a not-so-hidden world government made up of financial criminals, oil and defense corporations, groups like the Council on Foreign Relations, Trilateral Commission, and Bilderbergers, and extremist groups that penetrated all Western military and intelligence commands exercised a violent overthrow of the government of the United States. The Operational Planning Group was the Project for a New American Century, PNAC, tasked with rigging the 2000 election, organizing the corporate media behind the coup, and as some may remember, Supreme Court Justice appointed George W. Bush as president on a 5-4 vote on pure party lines. Retired Justice Sandra Day O'Connor, in recent public revelations, has strongly hinted at the court's legal misconduct in 2000. Yet, less publicly, secret deliberations now in the hands of key leaders penetrate the secrecy behind this critical time. The Supreme Court, led by a 5-member cabal at the heart of the coup, knowingly abrogated states' rights, separation of powers, and equal protection provisions of the Constitution to empower a criminal conspiracy intent on unleashing an American dictatorship on the world as a super cop. As early as 1999, PNAC had announced the need for a new Pearl Harbor to condition the American people to accept a consolidation of totalitarian authority and a permanent state of welfare. The subsequent planning and execution of 9/11 was only one aspect of the broader plan, seizing the government, 9/11, suspending civil rights, rigging congressional districts, instill true believers in military and government, and setting up a multinational world government plan to manage a quasi-global slave state. Experts in nearly every field agree on one thing: collapse is imminent. Restoration of constitutional authority, the basis of all oaths of allegiance for those serving with the authority of the Republic, requires the restoration of said Republic and its last elected president. Thus, Al Gore is the last legally elected president and must by law fulfill his term. Two branches of government, technically, are in rebellion against the United States. The Supreme Court of the United States has strayed, an understatement of Olympic proportions. Evidence of a conspiracy against the court to overthrow the government exists. Dissenting members of the court were subject to threats of violence against their persons and families, as was President Gore. This has been confirmed. Subsequent acts of the court and utter absolute failure to uphold constitutional guarantees time and time again has been a travesty. It has been treasonous, from Citizens United to the congressional redistricting, which denied equal protection and representation to over 100 million Americans. When the Supreme Court allowed suspension of habeas corpus, all semblance of representative government ended. When they allowed murder, kidnapping, and torture, ending all due process, they became war criminals. The U.S. House of Representatives is now a tyranny and controlled entirely by minority parties under the control of criminal elements. Nearly half of the members of the majority party would lose their seats, but for bizarre gerrymandered districts, some geographies of phantasmagorical mean. During the 2012 election, yes sir, go ahead. Let me finish this. During the 2012 election,
sounds like a really bad mix.
Drug cartel kingpin Mitt Romney received over $1 billion in contributions, much from narcotics, human trafficking, and gambling backers. Gambling boss Sheldon Adelson spent $100 million, a number personally cited by President Obama. Prior to the election, documents were released by sources within the FBI and Mexican intelligence agencies revealing that Mitt Romney worked closely with the Castro government and former members of the Soviet intelligence services, managed hundreds of secret slush funds, offshore accounts for key government and military leaders. And David, I have been warning people about this long before the year 2000, since 1994. I published the Free American to do exactly that, to compete with the mainstream media. I started this radio show to compete with mainstream radio. And this is important work. This is important work, guys.
Well, one of the places I give a lot of the information that currently that I have now is from a good friend of mine. His name is J.G. Vibes. He's a reporter for the intelhub.com. And he just sent me a posting this morning which informed me that the Saudi king, Abdullah, he's now reported clinically dead at 77 years of age. And his next successor will be a 67-year-old man who won't last too long. And after that, the entire country over there, which is made up of different governing bodies, is going to war with itself. And that's where all the world's oil comes from at the moment. So if anybody out there thinks that gas prices are high now, get ready. You're going to be paying $10 a gallon soon, because all of our oil is going to be cut off when they go to war with each other. That's Egypt, Libya, Syria, and Saudi Arabia. They're all going to be fighting over differences of who's going to rule. So this is what's happening in the Middle East today, and even though the 4 major news channels may not report on it for another 90 days or more, this is what's going down right in the middle of Saudi Arabia. Their king is dead, technically, and the takeover man, who's 67, is 67, excuse me, is going to be dead as well soon. And all these old people don't know what's going on. That's the problem, see? It's the young people that now have to rise up and take control, and they can do so in this next election, as I said earlier, by going in and signing the write-in ballot with their vote. And then we can snowball this election. We can take it over. We can win it hands down across the table, but only with all their support. Because the old regime is done for. That's the old world order. They're not the new world order. They're the old world order, and they still think they got some kind of control over everything, but they're not. This new world order is what we're proposing and talking about today, and it's the new earth, the new government, the new everything that's coming about soon. And I just wanted to let everyone know that I am confident, as you are, Clayton, that we can do everything the right way. Hemp and hydrogen is the solution to all of our problems. Bringing our industry back is the solution to our global dilemma, and free energy is the only solution to make everything work. So
again, they have had free energy available in Australia. You just can't bring it into here. And I've talked to people that have invented these magnetic generators before, written books about it. They were on my show 20 years ago. Couldn't get a patent on it. Couldn't get a patent on it because they called it a perpetual motion machine. So,
well, patents are going to be done away with. We're not going to patent anything. And besides that, all the people who are in jail now for misdemeanors and small, stupid, trumped-up charges, they'll all be released from our jail system. The only people who are going to be put to sleep are the pedophiles, the proven murderers, the people that are the big drug smugglers, and the ones that really break all the laws that they hire their attorneys to get them off the hook on. Those are the people who will be put to sleep. All the people that are in jail for like 3 years or less, that type of non-criminal offense, will all be let out and given jobs, and their rights to vote will be restored. That's another particular that needs to be talked about more. But have your vote taken away from you just because you've been put in jail for on a trumped-up charge of some dumb sort is an absolute travesty for any human being living in this country, expected to work then when they get out and earn a living and pay taxes. They can't vote? What the heck are you talking about? These are all rights that have been taken away from us slowly but surely, but they'll all be restored if and when I get the presidency in 2016.
Well, David, I guess you've been released here. They've quit banning you. That's something that Heisenberg did. And tell you what, I'll tell you what, Heisenberg, I don't lie. I don't lie. There's two things I can't stand. It's a liar and a thief. I don't lie. And if you call me, if you had the balls to call me or answer my calls, I wouldn't have been, I wouldn't have been angry at you. We could have settled it privately between us two if you hadn't kept kicking David off or banning him. So anyway, I don't care whether he calls anymore. I don't care whether he calls. As far as I'm concerned, he can go do whatever he wants. I don't care.
Well, I'd like to say thank you to Nighthawk, who's the owner of this channel, and who seems to be a rather upstanding individual, and I'd like to compliment him on this channel, because this is one of the best channels I've ever spoken on to date, though we've done a few, Clayton, in the past. But, you know, Nighthawk, thank you very much, and you have all my respect. But the other people on here, such as Ahmad Painter, he's a great guy too, and Rick C., who's going to be coming online shortly with his program right before he airs in the morning. I'm going to be appearing on several different days. We've spoken this last weekend. But, you know, you still have to take the good with the bad, and you still got to realize you got a few bad apples in your barrel, and those need to be cut out or cordoned off, so to speak. And, you know, I just feel as though John Heisenberg, he kicked me off for speaking on a couple different channels prior to last week, when I was banned from even getting on the chat board there. And I don't throw any insults at any particular people on the chat board, and I don't badmouth anybody either. I just try to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And if you don't like that, John, hey, I'm sorry for you, brother. You know, your sexual preference doesn't matter to me either. But once again, Clayton, thank you so much, sir, for having me on today and speaking to the people about what's actually going on out there, and letting them know that they do have somebody who wants their very best and will fight to the death for them in order to obtain that. And I know you're on the same page as I am, Clayton. You've been here for 25 years, and that's why I truly do respect you and like you as a fellow human being out there. Because this is going to come down to zero.
But after 1 day's use, dishcloths can redeposit millions.
All right. I got something, somehow some little bugs got in my thing, so I open up a website and I get a commercial on there. I don't know quite how to get that out. At any rate, I want to thank you all for listening, and I want to urge you to support Revolution Radio. You know, I am a tough one to get along with, and I really don't care. I'm just an old biker that's fighting for the Constitution, that's trying to honor my oath. And by the way, we are starting an Oath Keepers in Corpus Christi. So God bless you. Thanks for listening. Got a good lineup for next week. Thank you, David, for being with me.
Thank you, Clayton.
Okay, guys, we're off air.
All right, cool.
Okay, you guys do the round
did
table.
you get off of, do we hang up on Blog Talk too?
Yeah, hold on, I'm just going to check her off. I'll send those things on their way.
I got it. I already got it. It popped up on my screen.
Okay, well, between the both of us, then we should be able to get that fucking done every day, though. So, because I just checked it off too.
Everything's getting better.
I thought it was actually a good show. Actually.
Yeah, I liked it. I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hans is calling in.
Okay, well, here, I'm going to let you guys go, and I'll talk to you guys later on.
Okay, talk to you. Bye-bye.
Cut out.
Hello, Hans.
Good morning, Clay. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing okay.
You still riding that bike, Hans?
Oh, absolutely.
That's a nice looking machine there.
That's an old 1100 Honda. I got an Gold Wing. I got an 1800 turbo now.
Wow.
They're good bikes.
Give that to your wife.
Sonny Barger made the comment, you know, if we knew then what we know now, we'd all be riding Gold Wings.
People got so much in common if we just stop the hatred. See, we're prejudging people. It's like, well, we'll get into it. I think it's good. It's good radio. It's good radio.
I love this radio station, Hans. It's got some good hosts, and it's got some good producers, and it's got good everything. Good everything.
Let me see if I can pull Thomas in here.
And you're a super guy too, Hans. I gotta tell you, you're really, really, really nice guy.
Thomas.
Yeah.
Good morning. I wasn't sure if you were ready for the round table or not.
I am. I've already got the important stuff out of the car for grocery bags. I'm hooking my mic up.
Okay, excellent. We've got Clay here with us, Clay Douglas and David Kaas, and they were on the show earlier. Okay, I guess we got a couple of minutes, at least a couple of minutes to hook up to the server.
Sure.
Let me post a couple more messages.
If I yell at anybody, just cut me off, Hans.
I won't cut you. No, I won't cut you off.
I'm not going to yell at anybody. I
don't
don't care. I want, to have a round table, to have a intelligent discussion is one thing. I run my show like a tight ship, and you've run my show for me. So.
Oh, I know. And I like you, Clay, and I like David, but we need to keep an open mind. That's the problem. We judge people based on little things that don't even matter, because the changes we have to make are so massive. We need to start getting along. That's all I'm trying to.
Oh yeah. That's it. That's it in a nutshell.
No. The nutshell is a little bigger than.
No, but I mean, I'm just thinking that's what we got to do. We got to start thinking the same.